IGN, a company that is infamously known for making reviews that take the same time as me eating a slice of toast. They're a news outlet company that focuses on reporting news and reviewing multiple types of media, such as movies, TV shows, and most importantly, video games. The reviews tend to range in quality most of the time. Some of them seem to have good points on why their opinions are valid, while others seem like they didn't play the game at all. But some of the most infamous reviews they have made seem to be centered around the Pokemon series. Now, Pokemon is known for having one of the most toxic fan bases out there, and I should know because I'm a part of it. So I think it would be fun if we looked at some of IGN's Pokemon reviews to see if I think they are completely justified or just completely stupid. Now, keep in mind that I'm only taking a look at the mainline games in the series, which means no Pokemon Mystery Dungeon or Colosseum or XD Gale of Darkness. This video would be way too long if I covered them here, but if you guys actually are interested in seeing me cover IGN's review on those, I would be glad to make a follow-up to this video. But anyway, let's start off with the review of the first generation of Pokemon games made by Craig Harrison, which they gave a score of wow, that's high! Like, I get Pokemon Red and Blue are classics and all, but did they really need that high of a review score? Heck, the highest review score you can give out? This tends to be a problem with the reviews, that being they give out way too high of review scores. Sometimes they give games that they describe negatively in the reviews,
It is a little something for everyone.
or they just give a higher score than the game that's clearly better. Now, to be fair here, this review was made back when Red and Blue were the only Pokemon games, so there wasn't really that much competition. But still, for this time period, a 10 out of 10 is way too high for a review score, even if it was very revolutionary for the time. Well, maybe they bring up some good points for why that is. This review was made by Craig Harrison, mentions how revolutionary the game's mechanic is for the Game Boy RPG, and how the series will not become a fad. Well, he's not technically wrong. Well, we're off to a good start. The first games in the series have already peaked in IGN size, which is 100% not true. Let's see if the Gen 2 review is better, and oh my gosh, another 10 out of 10. This one also made by Craig Harrison. Like, guys, I get Gen 2 is a massive improvement from Gen 1 in almost every single way, but still, stop giving 10 out of 10s to every Pokemon game that comes out. Oh, I spoke too soon. So they gave Crystal, the definitive Gen 2 Pokemon experience, a lower score than Gold and Silver. The reason why they said Crystal got a lower score is that there isn't that much it offers that makes it a must buy for people who own both Pokemon Gold and Silver, which is completely valid by him. But they still gave Yellow a 10 out of 10, even though it's not a must buy for Red and Blue owners as well. I still think the score they gave Crystal is still good, but this is the score I think the other Generation 2 games should have gotten. Now moving on to Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, which are given a 9.5 out of 10, which I find not that bad overall. It's still too high of a score in my opinion. I would honestly give it an 8.5 or 9. But hey, at least they didn't give it a 10 out of 10 this time around. And they also gave Pokemon Emerald an 8 out of 10. Like, what the heck? Like, yeah, I get Pokemon was starting to get very formulaic and tiring at this point. Plus, Emerald is very similar to Ruby and Sapphire, with a few new additions and changes. But again, you gave Pokemon Yellow a 10 out of 10, which is a game that just added a following Pikachu and a few updated elements. While Emerald introduced the Battle Frontier, lots of updated life improvements, as well as merged the stories of Ruby and Sapphire to make a more unique and better experience as a whole. And even though I would get giving it a lower score due to it seeming more like a cash grab and a lazy re-release, giving it a score that is 1.5% lower than Ruby and Sapphire's just doesn't seem very right at all. This isn't really that much to talk about with the DS Pokemon reviews they have done. All of them are fairly scored and well ranked from one another. Heck, they actually gave Pokemon Platinum a higher ranking than Diamond and Pearl. That sure would be embarrassing if they were lower. Although the Black and White review was done by Jack DeFiris instead of Craig Harrison. Now, there's not that much wrong with the review itself. He talks about how much Black and White are a big fresh air for the series, which is true in some ways, but this might lead to the reviews becoming even more consistent in the future. Oh, I spoke too soon. Yes, IGN's controversial review on Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. This is probably the reason you clicked on this video, because IGN has one ridiculous statement of why they gave the game a 7.8 out of 10. Now, you can say anything about any Pokemon game you want. You can say Sword and Shield are the best in the series, or even talk about how much Pokemon Hardcore and Zero Server sucks as much as you want, but you have to have some good points to why that is. When one of your main cons for the game you're reviewing is too much water, well, that's just a very poor statement altogether. Naige in the review itself by Kaylee Pig mentions that there's a lot of water-type Pokemon in the region, as well as a lot of water to reverse itself, which are good points to bring up as negatives, but it's totally lost in translation here. Now, if the statement was changed to type inconsistencies or too much water to reverse, that would have sounded much better. Like, imagine if they gave a negative point for a Super Mario game, too much mushrooms. Well, later on after this review, there were many memes about the too much water statement, with people saying that IGN works for Team Magma, or using the statement for other things like too much fluff or too much muscle. Heck, the meme got so big that even Game Freak mentioned it in Sun and Moon. Oh yeah, Sun and Moon. The review's fine, there's not that much infamous to talk about with it, outside of the inconsistency of them not bringing up too much water as a criticism. Like, what? Ololo is surrounded by water. Heck, the review was also made by Kaylee Pig, who criticized Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for having too much water. Yet they didn't bring it up for Sun and Moon's review? Gosh, make up your mind, IGN! Ugh. I need a break from these inconsistent bad reviews and given scores. I hope there isn't a review out there that does both. You gotta be kidding me. IGN's Pokemon Sword and Shield review. What the heck happened here? Alright, first off, way too high of a review score for a buggy unfinished game like this. I mean, the score is higher than Dragon Quest XI, Earthbound, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and all of these other Pokemon games. Well, maybe they might have some good reasons in this review. Oh, there isn't. So, this review was made by Casey DeFriers, and starts off with a bold statement that these are the best games in the series. Really? She also mentions that the Flying Taxi and Rotom Bike are more seamless and easier to use than rideable Pokemon, which is true in some ways, but they have way more charm and are more exciting to ride than the Rotom Bike. And another thing mentioned by her is that the game feels challenging and memorable, which for one, on my first playthrough I didn't black out once throughout the entire game, and that was mostly due to the EXP candies I was given throughout. And also, memorable? How much of this game besides the new characters and Pokemon would you really remember? This game is very predictable because it plays loud like every other Pokemon game. Plus the game mostly feels like a straight line to the end, so there's not that much secret places to explore or paths to take outside of the wild area. Also, the best Pokemon game? Please! This game removed half of the total amount of Pokemon for reasons that were obviously lies, has barely any post-game content, lacks tons of features from past games, forces you to have the EXP share on, and overall glitches out sometimes. Yet by IGN, it's better than Crystal, Fire and Leaf Green, Emerald, Platinum, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? Well, at least they didn't give it a 10 out of 10, thank gosh. Look, I'm trying not to bash Sword and Shield into the ground here. It's already gone through enough as it is. And I'm not trying to stop people from enjoying it either. Heck, I even enjoy playing this game. But with as bold as a statement as best in the series, it's hard to bring up many of the things it does worse than its predecessors. They also gave BDSP a higher score than Legends Arceus, what the heck. So anyway, what did we gain from all of these reviews? Well, we know that IGN doesn't know how to score games properly, have points that feel false and incorrect at the final score, and overall has inconsistent opinions on games due to them having a different person review them each time. Now, while these reviews may be flawed, please don't take them very seriously. I see a lot of people get really mad over these reviews just because they overscored or underscored a game they like. And even though I got mad at the reviews as well, doesn't mean that's how I actually feel about them in real life. Heck, I find them more funny than infuriating personally. Plus, at the end of the day, these are just other people's opinions, so they're allowed to feel whatever they want about these games. But that doesn't stop IGN from still having the reputation of poorly reviewing games. Like, my gosh, they gave Imagine Party Babies a higher score than Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness.